Hi.
Hey, Kayleigh, what do you think?
Um, I think social media is a weird place anyway. But Kensington Palace really haven't helped themselves with this. Just from the initial statements to the doctored photo. I see people keep saying it's edited, it's been doctored, which is a completely different thing to just simple editing. But yeah, I mean,
About the family
the
photo, not the farm
Kensington
shop
Palace
photo.
really haven't.
Yeah, the family photo. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't helped themselves. And in terms of the social media conspiracy, it's interesting that we're giving Kate so much grace and, oh, let's leave her alone, when there was another princess who had to flee the country due to, again, social media, conspiracies, abuse that has been in the press for the last 7 years.
We're talking about Princess Meghan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sarah in Leicester, hi.
Hello, Jeremy. Good
What do you
morning.
make this crazy thing is that you get a blurred photo, you can make it look like anyone.
Well, can I just say that? Can I just say that this the royal family has brought this upon themselves,
Yeah.
and I don't think they should, crack down on the social media. They would not do that, and the reason is simply because why didn't they shut these conspiracy theories down when the same thing and even worse happened in their watch to Meghan? Remember when they said Meghan made Kate cry? Did we hear anything from the palace to say, no, that's not true?
Well, they
When Sarah called into the Jeremy Vine show and asked, why did they not shut down these conspiracy theories when the same thing and even worse was happening to Meghan? The entire conversation shifted. In that single moment, she exposed what the establishment, the tabloids, and the royal defenders have been terrified to confront for years. The blinding double standards that sit at the heart of how Meghan and Prince Harry were treated versus everyone else inside that family. It wasn't just a question, it was a truth bomb. A truth that's been screaming beneath every cruel headline, every manipulative tabloid front page, every one-sided royal source quote that somehow always paints Meghan as the villain, and the rest of them as victims. Sarah's voice cut through that noise like a blade. Because let's be real, we've watched this pattern for years. When Meghan Sussex was relentlessly torn apart, when her character was assassinated daily, when she was pregnant and still being shredded by the media, where were the royal aides? Where was that palace PR machine that suddenly seemed so capable of issuing statements, silencing rumors, and controlling narratives when it benefits others? They were silent. In fact, their silence wasn't neutral. It was approval. They let the abuse run wild because it served a purpose. Meghan's pain became their distraction. Her suffering was their cover. And Sarah, bless her, was brave enough to say out loud what millions have been thinking for years. And let's talk about the word conspiracy, because that's exactly what the British media created around Meghan. They didn't just report on her, they invented a character, a villain they could project their own insecurities and racial biases onto. They took a kind, intelligent, and outspoken woman and turned her into a headline-generating machine. Duchess Difficult, Megxit mastermind, Harry's manipulative wife. Those weren't just headlines, they were tools. Tools to isolate her, to weaken her credibility, to convince the public that this American woman, this biracial duchess, didn't belong in their centuries-old institution. And through it all, where was the palace's so-called duty of care? Nowhere. Meanwhile, when it's someone else facing public scrutiny, when another royal's name is being questioned or when stories get uncomfortable, suddenly statements fly out of Kensington Palace or Clarence House within hours. Suddenly there's a demand for privacy, a cry for compassion, and endless pleas to stop the rumors. But when Meghan was smeared, when her unborn child was mocked, when her mental health was weaponized, the palace didn't just stand back, they fed it. They allowed those conspiracy theories to spread like wildfire because as long as Meghan was the target, the institution stayed protected. That's what Sarah was really saying. The hypocrisy is staggering. When Meghan told Oprah she was struggling with suicidal thoughts and begged for help, she was told it would look bad for the institution. Imagine that. A woman crying out for help being told to suffer quietly because it might ruin a PR image. And now, years later, those same people who told her to be silent are demanding empathy for others. You can't pick and choose when compassion counts. You can't rewrite morality depending on who fits your agenda. What's even more disturbing is how this all ties into the broader British media ecosystem. Meghan wasn't just battling palace silence, she was up against an entire machine built on monetizing hate. Every hateful tabloid piece was engineered for clicks and outrage. The Daily Mail, The Sun, GB News, they all knew that Meghan's name guaranteed engagement. They didn't care about facts, they didn't care about fairness, they cared about control. And yet, now those same outlets are pretending to be shocked that public trust in royal reporting is collapsing. They created this. They poisoned the well and then cried when people refused to drink. Prince Harry has said it himself time and again. The media wasn't just cruel, it was dangerous. It created a culture of fear and division. The same tabloids that claim to be patriotic have done more to damage Britain's global reputation than anyone outside its borders ever could. Prince Harry has said it himself time and again. The media wasn't just cruel, it was dangerous. It created a culture of fear and division. The same tabloids that claim to be patriotic have done more to damage Britain's global reputation than anyone outside its borders ever could. Because the world watched how Meghan was treated. The world saw the racial undertones, the sneering classism, the coded language, all of it. And while the palace may have convinced themselves that silence equals dignity, to the rest of us, it looked like complicity. And I want to highlight something that rarely gets said. Meghan didn't ask for special treatment, she asked for equal treatment. That's it. She asked to be protected the way others were. She asked for fair coverage, for accuracy, for a chance to exist as a human being and not a caricature. And what did she get in return? Smears, betrayal, and public humiliation, all while she was carrying her first child. It's appalling, and to this day, there has been no accountability from the palace, no reflection from the media, and certainly no apology from the so-called royal experts who made careers out of defaming her. Sarah's comment hit the raw nerve because it called out what the establishment refuses to face, that the royal family's selective silence exposed everything they tried to hide. They showed the world exactly who they protect and who they abandon. They can't claim to be victims of conspiracy theories when they stood by and let far worse ones destroy Meghan's peace of mind. That's not leadership. That's cowardice dressed up as protocol. And Prince Harry, let's talk about the strength it took for him to walk away from that toxicity. People love to mock him for choosing California, but they forget that he grew up watching his mother be chased to her death by the same press that later went after his wife. He recognized the pattern. He saw the same cruelty repeating itself, and he refused to let history destroy his family again. That's not weakness, that's courage, that's love in action, and honestly, the fact that he's still vilified for it says everything about how deep this double standard runs. Sarah's call was a mirror moment for Britain, because what she said forced everyone, from the Jeremy Vine panel to the viewers at home, to confront their own bias. Why is Meghan always held to a harsher standard? Why are her actions twisted, her words misinterpreted, her silence mocked? Why was the institution so quick to protect others but never her? And perhaps most damningly, why are people still pretending they don't see the difference? This isn't about Meghan versus the monarchy anymore. It's about truth versus manipulation. Meghan represents transparency, independence, and emotional honesty. Everything that the old institution can't control. This isn't about Meghan versus the monarchy anymore. It's about truth versus manipulation. Meghan represents transparency, independence, and emotional honesty. everything that the old institution can't control. That's why they targeted her, because she refused to play their PR games, because she spoke her truth even when it cost her everything, and because she shattered the illusion that royal life is something magical and untouchable. She showed that behind the palace walls lies an environment that values image over humanity. What's beautiful is that, despite all of it, Meghan and Harry are thriving. They built their own path. They created a life that's authentic, purposeful, and free from the toxicity that once surrounded them.